Welcome to the Global Chic Entrepreneur Series. I'm your host, Lauren Joyce, and today I am so excited to be with Regan Hillyer. And Regan is a serial entrepreneur, investor, mindset coach, and the author of the best-selling book, Be Your Brand. In her client work, she helps entrepreneurs uncover their true message so they can make a bigger impact in the world. Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. I'm excited to chat.
Definitely. So tell me a little bit more about why you decided to become an entrepreneur and what that journey's been like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, it was almost like there was no other option. I had a
Mm-hmm.
really traditional upbringing where I went to an amazing school. I worked really hard. I got great grades. I went to university. I actually have a degree in architecture of all things, even though I've never worked a day in my life as an architect ever. But it was partway through that degree where I just felt unsatisfied and
Mm-hmm.
unfulfilled. And even though I was good at what I was doing, everyone was going, "Oh, you're going to be such an amazing architect." I just knew it wasn't right for me. So for me, I had to find another way.
Mm-hmm.
I had to find out, who I truly was and what I wanted to do in this world. So, if I was to summarize the key things, I've always wanted to make a massive impact in the world. So I kind of realized at a really young age that working in some sort of 9 to 5 job potentially wasn't going to create me the impact on a global scale that
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to create. Secondly, I love the variety of it. I love that you can design your day. I love that I can work from anywhere. I love that I can travel. Like that would drive some people crazy, but I love the variety. And
Mm-hmm.
then of course it's the freedom, and I think a lot of people, I think, just are driven towards freedom and time freedom, money freedom. And for me, entrepreneurship was an answer to that as well.
Amazing, amazing. So what has been one of the biggest challenges for you about being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's many, and I think a lot of people look at people's life online and it all looks kind of perfect, but there's always ups and
Mm-hmm.
downs. And for me, probably the biggest thing is actually learning how to get into alignment. Before I was doing the work that I'm doing now, I was still, successfully running a speaking coaching company, but it was like 95% in alignment, and on the outside looking in, everyone was like, "Oh, you're so successful, you're achieving so much." And it was great, but there was this always this like tiny little bit that just wasn't right, this tiny little
Mm-hmm.
bit that just wasn't perfect and wasn't clicked into place. So it really took a lot of courage to go, okay, let's address that. And how do I shift and change the direction of my life and my business rather than ignoring it? And most people would have ignored that because it would have been very easy to ignore when everything's going well. So that was probably
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing. It was having the courage to actually get myself into alignment. And I'm really, really, really grateful that I did.
Yes, and I'm sure so are all of your clients, and so are we watching.
Right.
Um, so tell me a little bit more. So the work that you do with your clients resonates that journey as well, right? So it's like getting into alignment, bringing their message out, and kind of like being able to make a big impact. So what do you see is one of the biggest barriers for beginning entrepreneurs to do that or cultivate that alignment and authenticity?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's massive. And, I just believe people have so much potential. I always look at people and I just see an overflow of potential usually.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing I believe is their mindset. And if I was to go deeper than that, their self-belief. Often they've done, business courses or strategy stuff and they know how to piece it all together, yet for some reason it's not clicking or they're not getting clients or they're not making the money they desire. And, that's often not a strategy thing. Often they know what to do. It's a mindset thing and it's an alignment thing. And that's the most powerful thing is that when you truly get into alignment and then go to work on your success mindset, massive stuff can shift.
Totally. So, what's been one of the biggest tools or benefits? Not well, I guess we'll go with tools or approaches to mindset that you've started incorporating into your life because there's so much out there, right? There's
Yeah.
mantras and affirmations and this book and that book and meditation. And I think sometimes it can get slightly overwhelming
Yeah.
for the entrepreneur who's like, okay, I'm not in alignment. I need to work on my mindset. How the heck do I even start?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're right, like I've done so much different stuff and I've probably tried like everything when it comes to
Yep.
mindset. And I do pull on a lot of different things, but if I was to pick one thing that really has the biggest result, it would probably be journaling, and just getting really, really, really deep into your own stuff and journaling around any blocks or limits that you have, journaling about, the desired goals and outcomes and the intentions, and then getting really crystal clear on what's going to happen when you actually achieve those, right? And conditioning your mind to really expect that it's already happened. So yeah, if
Hmm.
someone said to me, you can only have one mindset, routine or practice or tool, that's what I'd pick. I'd definitely pick journaling. I definitely think it's easy. You can sit down, you can be on a plane, you can journal anywhere basically. And
Hmm.
I feel like it gets me the greatest results out of everything I do.
I love it. And there's one thing that you said in there that I really enjoyed too, is getting really clear on what's going to happen when you reach that goal. And then I think so often we focus so solely on the goal or that one client that we don't think about necessarily who we need to become in order to get that, or if we're acting as the coach or entrepreneur who brings in that amount of money, that client,
Yeah.
fill in the blank. But I think there's an element of, I always push my clients, like, how are you going to celebrate that when that happens, and it makes them see past that moment of the money coming in, the client coming in, the big release, the book, whatever. So I love that you said that. So do you go really like in depth when you are kind of thinking about and journaling on what's going to happen when you reach that goal?
Yeah, I go massively in depth, and I love that you've brought this up because you're right. So many people are like, oh, this is the goal I want, and when I achieve it, like all this amazing stuff is going to happen. But they wonder why they don't achieve it, and often it's because their mind can't see what's on the other side of that goal, right? And if
Yes.
your mind can't process it, it gets processed as fear, it gets processed as the unknown, it gets processed as uncomfortable, and then your brain is wired to keep you safe, so you don't shift forward, right? So it's super important. Like to answer your question, I get crystal clear, like crystal clear, like
Mm-hmm.
literally, like in massive detail, like if it's a money goal, I'm like, I'm so happy and grateful that I've received the money goal in this month. But now, I'm focusing on this money goal and this is what's happening and this is what's coming up. And it's not all the good, like happy stuff all the time. It's not like, oh, this is how I've invested the money and this and that and rah, rah, rah. Like you need all that stuff. But it's also like, well, what mindset blocks are now coming up? What limitations do I have? What are the
Mm-hmm.
challenges? What are the fears, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important to condition your mind to see both side of that, on the other side of that goal you're achieving. So yeah, I get into massive detail, like crystal clear, but interestingly enough, without pegging in the how, if that makes sense, right? So
Totally.
yeah, so it's like crystal clear, but still leaving it open to actually manifest rather than going, this is specifically how it's all going to roll out, because it probably won't happen if you do that.
Right. And then you get so fixated on this one way that you think it's going to happen that you actually end up closing yourself off to all these
Right.
other ways that it could actually happen.
That's right.
But I love
Exactly.
that you said, by getting really, really clear, you get the positives, right, or the benefits of making that money, right? That's one of the most tangible ways that we can look at this. So you hit
Mhm.
that income goal, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to use money for this, this, and this. I'm going to feel so great. Going to get my
Yeah.
manicure, blah, blah, blah. But then you look at, what is that bringing up in me, or what do I need to let go of to be the
Yep.
woman who makes that amount of money? Because we do, as women, as entrepreneurs, as humans, you're right, like we hit these blocks and our brain is meant to keep us safe, so then we
Yep.
shrink down, or we'll be like, I want $1,000 to go on this trip, and then it's like, well, I don't know if it's going to happen, so I don't really need the trip this month. Like maybe I could go
Yep.
next month, or like maybe
Yep.
next year will probably actually be better for the trip. And then we so quickly give up on something that we were so excited about. So I love that in your mindset practice, or in, cultivating a really healthy and successful mindset, you look at the blocks and the negative or the darker emotions that are coming up around what it is
Yep.
that you want to achieve.
Absolutely. You have to. It's like, you get everyone just thinks it's all like, I don't know, roses and rainbows. And it's like, yeah, all the good stuff's going to happen, but you have to like be really real with all the confronting stuff. And it feels uncomfortable. It's not necessarily fun, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to get it done if you want to succeed.
Definitely. And this all obviously ties back into being in alignment, right? And with your message and with your brand, because so many entrepreneurs that are watching this have lifestyle brands or desire a lifestyle brand, like they are their brand. And so you have to be in alignment with who you are and how you want to be of service in order to attract that in. So I know one of your specialties is also branding. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Where does that fit into the alignment and the message? Like, how do you vision this all coming together?
Yeah, absolutely. It's totally interlinked, and I really believe you can't have one without the other. So, if you're just sitting there doing like mindset work, like massively, a huge amount, like sure, some stuff might shift, but ultimately if you don't then take action on it, then, it's not, you can't just like sit there and meditate and everything's going to like turn up at the door, right? Like
Totally.
you've got to actually like do the work, right? But in saying that, like I see a lot of people slaving away and doing the work, and then they're not doing the mindset work, and they're really upset that they don't have results, or it's not the results that they desire, So it goes hand in hand. It's like figuring out, doing all the mindset work, getting into alignment, figuring out what your true message really is, but then learning from a strategy point of view how you can monetize that, how you can actually set that up so it's an income stream that you can build from anywhere in the world, right? So yeah, I mean, success is 80% psychology and mindset and only 20% strategy, but you can't have one without the other. Like they're totally interlinked.
Yeah. I always say, in school, 80% was passing, but 80% being an entrepreneur is not passing grade anymore. Like you cannot just have the mindset and lay on your couch and be like eating bonbons, imagining your dream business. You actually have to put it into action. And I think there's one thing, at least, that I've found through my journey of being an entrepreneur and a lot of my clients' journeys as well, is it's only through taking the action that you can really get into true alignment, because the more action you take, the more things you put out, the more output you have, the more you're like, oh, that really resonated, not just with ideal clients, but with me. That feels really good. And then, oh, I thought that would feel really good, but I realized I was just kind of borrowing someone else's message and it's not in alignment. So it's only through that action that you find the alignment.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's massive. Like you just can't have one without the other. And so many people just only do one, and it's like, just do both.
Exactly, right? And it's simple, but if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And so how do you stay connected and in alignment all the time, right? So this is one of my favorite questions that I've been asking all the women in this series, because I think that when we're in our businesses, right, we're worried about if our mindset's up to par and like, are we taking the right action steps? Sometimes we can get lost in that kind of, not mess, but in doing all of that, and we lose sight of why we wanted to start this in the first place and the impact that we wanted to have, right? So how do you stay connected to your bigger vision and stay in alignment on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's my daily mindset ritual. Like that is the biggest thing. So, like the journaling like we talked about, I journal daily, I do mindset work daily, I visualize, I get into energetic states. Like I do all of that stuff daily. And everyone's talking a lot about alignment at the moment. It's funny because I've been talking about it for years, but all of a sudden everyone's talking about it. And it's kind of like it's this big like woo-woo crazy scary word a little bit. And everyone's like, oh, how do I know if I'm in alignment or not?
Yep.
Like, how does that work? But it's actually really simple, right? And it's actually just about being in tune with yourself and just literally reflecting into your life and turning inside and just checking and just going, okay, does this feel good? Does this feel right? And it's not a difficult thing to do. Like, when something doesn't feel 100% right. When it feels totally freaking awesome, right? So it's just being real about that stuff and having the ability to separate, well, does it not feel good because it's maybe a little bit scary or uncomfortable, or I actually just need to go do the work and I'm being lazy about it? Or does it not feel good because it's not actually right and I know it's out of alignment? So for me, it's doing those checks. And, I do that regularly. Like if I have to make, new decisions, if someone's like, come on the show, we'll do this. Like I always check. I'm like, okay, cool. I go check it out. And I'm like, does it feel good? And I'm like I looked at your stuff, Lauren, and I was like, yeah, it feels really good. So I said yes, right? But there's other people I don't say yes to simply because it doesn't feel like it's in alignment with me and who I want to associate with in my message, right? So I don't think it's a big, complicated, scary thing around alignment, but I think you have to be in tune with it. And again, it's about being really aware with your mindset work, doing that daily and allowing yourself to tune in.
Yeah, I love that. So it's daily, it's continual, it's consistent, right? And it's always checking in. And the one thing I love that you said too, it's like for you check and see like if you get asked to be for an interview or whatever, does it feel in alignment? And if you would have said no to this, right? It's not that you thought my stuff was bad or, or that it's wrong. And I think there's sometimes this fear because we are our businesses that if I say no to this or, if someone asks me to be in the interview series, if I say no, I'm saying no to them personally, to like who they are as a person, instead of separating it like, no, this great. Like you can be supportive of other entrepreneurs and not feel like a slave to have to do everything all the time that someone asks you. So I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think so often we skip that step of checking in and we just see like either an opportunity or a sales call or a potential client. And that's something actually we haven't necessarily touched on in this series, but I'm sure you do this with potential clients as well. You check in to make sure that they're a good fit. So have you ever said no? Like someone's like, I really want to work with you. And you're like, this doesn't feel like a good fit.
Yeah, and I say no regularly. Like it has to feel right. And that was the thing in the beginning. I used to just say yes, and it was probably a little bit of scarcity around, I have to like get more clients, right? And now, I've noticed that when I choose and when when I actually say yes to people that are in alignment with who I want to work with, then more of those people show up. Like, what you focus on expands, right? So you start receiving more of it. And I love that you brought this up because it's the same with, creating programs or running courses. Like people are like, I could do this because this is what's expected of me. Or, I could do this because that's all I've done. Or I could do this because I'll be good at this or this will make me money. And if it doesn't feel 100% right and they do it anyway, they might still have success. They may still make the money. But then they're locked into like running some program or course or talking to a client that they don't actually want to do. And it becomes painful and it becomes work. And it's like, and they won't shine through that process. They might get it done, but they won't be their best version of themselves. So I think it's huge. It's huge with your own stuff. It's especially huge with clients. I've fired clients as well. Like I'll be completely honest because we've started working together and it's like, this is actually not right for us. And this is actually going to be easier if we just, don't work together in this sense. And often they agree, because they're not in alignment either. So, it just takes one person to be a little bit real with it and take control. Yeah.
I love that. And there's one thing I want to add on to that. It's when you are in alignment or when you follow that intuition or your desire, right? Like, so if you're working with a client and you're like, this is not in alignment anymore, like this is not serving me, it cannot be serving her because I'm not showing up as the best version of myself, right? It always, no matter what the moment looks like, it always takes the other person higher. Like it always allows that other person to do something else, right? So, and I think again, we get so caught up in if I fire this client or if I say no, there is a little bit of scarcity, but then we worry like, they'll be upset or like, what if they can't find another coach, but by having your boundaries and staying in alignment with what you want, that allows that client that you fired or said no to or turned down the interview for them to find something that's more in alignment with them. So it's really like giving them an opportunity instead of taking it away.
Yeah, and you have to look at that and keep in mind that, and I see so many people get caught in this, it's not actually about you, as a coach, as an online mentor, as someone running a course or working with people or doing an interview. Like, it's not about you, right? It's about the people that you're put here to serve. So why would you want to serve someone if it doesn't feel right and you can't serve them to your best ability if it's not in alignment with you? And, that's the thing. It's not about you and the money they're paying you or anything like that. It is about the client. So if you keep that in in perspective, it's a lot easier to kind of get your head around this stuff.
Totally. I love it. So what's been one of the most rewarding things about being an entrepreneur for you?
For me, there's so much. Like, I literally love it. So probably the first thing is impact. Just really having a massive impact in people's lives, you know, one by one, and especially online. Like, since I shifted online, that's the coolest thing, I think. Just to know that I've had so many people just even message me who aren't even working with me, who say, "Oh my gosh, you know, thank you for your blog posts. I read them all the time." You know, and it's like you'd never know that you're impacting that person, but then you really kind of get a grasp of how big it is, right? So that's probably, that's the coolest thing. Secondly, it would have to be the freedom. Like, I'm addicted to it. I love, like I said, the travel. I love that it's like 6 a.m. and I'm in this awesome hotel with this crazy view in Sydney, and then we're off to LA tomorrow. Like, I love that stuff. So I love the freedom to do what I want and hang out, you know, with the people that I want. And then, you know, it would be the money as well. It's the financial freedom and the ability to not have a ceiling on what you're doing. And if you set it up right to, you know, scale proportionally to the money you're making, but the impact you're creating at the same time, like, I just think that's the coolest freaking thing in the world.
Amazing. Amazing. And on this idea of impact and freedom, I know you have a new show coming out. Yes. So tell me a little bit about this.
Absolutely. So it's Regan Hillyer TV, and it's literally behind the scenes of success. So the whole idea is that it's online, it's reality. We're literally filming right now as we speak, which is awesome, which is why I don't have my headphones in so I can hear you. And so, it's all literally about showing people the snapshot of how a 7-figure business is run and what it takes day to day and what that actually looks like. You know, I think even my one-on-one clients that work with me like so closely every single day, they still kind of think that I do all this like secret stuff that I don't tell them, you know. And it's like, I really don't. Like, it's so simple. I just do the work and I do it consistently and I love it, and I keep going with it. So, you know, it's really cool. It's literally going to have snips of my mindset rituals. It's going to be like interviews, it's going to be speaking, it's going to be traveling. Like, it's going to be really raw and real and uncut, but it's I'm really excited about it.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. And ladies, Regan's been so gracious to share with you all a free gift. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can have my new book, Be Your Brand, for free.
Amazing.
So it is a #1 bestseller, which is really cool. And so this one's all about personal branding. So it's literally about how to unlock your true message and then actually develop that message through your brand. Then how to then launch. Like, how do you actually get out there? Like I always say, you know, you can have the most powerful message in the world, but if no one's actually seeing it and if you don't actually take action and put it out there, you know, you're not going to have any impact or make any money, right? So then the third section is all about acceleration. So now it's out there, you're monetizing it, it's in alignment, it feels good. How do we scale it up? How do we create more money? How do we have an even bigger impact? Like, what does that look like? So it's literally what I did to launch my brand from completely unknown online to what I call unforgettable in 60 days. So it's the process that I literally took myself through. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing. Ladies, you can pick up that free gift right underneath the video here. So make sure you grab that because that is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. And is there anything left that you would love to share with the audience on your mind and your heart? Any last words you want to leave us with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I guess we've been talking about alignment, and, you know, my last words would be just stop making it a massive thing, you know, just make a decision that you'll focus on it daily and just trust that, you know, you can be guided within yourself, right? Just trust yourself a little bit more. And when you get into this place of actually realizing how powerful you are and realizing that you have a message and that you have a voice and that you're put here for a reason, go and act on it. You know, I truly believe that too many people literally die with their message trapped within them, you know, whereas you could take action and actually get that out and in the process impact so many people and then have it all flow back to you. So just do it.
Amazing. Again, Regan, thank you so much for being here. This has been such an honor interviewing you. And ladies, you can check out more from the Global Chic Entrepreneur series. Thank you again, Regan.
You are more than welcome, Lauren. You've asked some amazing questions and we've gone really deep, and it's been awesome chatting to you.
Oh, it's been amazing chatting with you too and getting to know you more because your online stuff is amazing. So it's nice to see you online as well, but in person, exactly. All right, ladies, you can catch more from the series in your inbox. Thank you again so much and have a great day.